Everybody, welcome back. There's no coffee today. There's just water because we are at the gym, actually. But, I was thinking of kind of the first time I flew into Athens, and when I decided to move there. I had to make a concerted effort to get out there and know people. And one of the first things you realize when you're living abroad is that where you're from really kind of defines you at first, right? People have their assumptions. And I feel like a lot of the time you have to work through that, because it doesn't necessarily define us. We don't prescribe to everything that our country is known for. All the stereotypes that come along with either being American, being English, being Filipino, being Japanese, Chinese, all that. But at the same time, I'm an American. I love my country. I love America. And no matter where we're from, in a way, I think we all love our country for all the faults we find in her. It's the place that we grew up and experienced everything that comes with learning about who we are. It's the backdrop of our adolescence that as we age, it gets romanticized and it gets put into such an important place in our identity, in who we are, especially when we're younger. But it really does become kind of key to our identity. They take on different words, even throughout history, right? It is our motherland, it is our fatherland. We hear the stories and myths of her as we grow up, and these become kind of key features of that national identity, right? We take these in, and in a way they do kind of shape us, whether that's in America, the stories of the founding fathers, the history of slavery, the Industrial Revolution, the great wars that have been fought in America. I mean, even just the conquest of America itself. But every country has these, right? But when you go to a place, people don't really care about that, although that may be what it is to be from your country, right? When you go to another country, it's more what's happening now in politics, what your country's been involved in, that you're going to be associated, right? And people think that you represent that. Some people get angry about that, and they'll find a way to not like you just because you're associated with that country. You come from there, you must represent that. Maybe it's kind of a cathartic way to release their frustration that they have with our country. Our country, where we're from, becomes a brand, and it's a brand that we all carry. It's a brand that, when introducing ourselves, often defines us, at least temporarily. But I think as I age, and for those of us who have lived abroad, or those of us who still do live abroad, the more of the world I see, the more people I meet, the more I realize the fact that where I'm from is just a brand, and more so than just like a physical brand or a metaphorical brand. It's almost becoming an actual brand, a corporate brand. When I see people who are so tied up in American identity, in English identity, and wherever you're from, right? Wherever you're from, people who are so tied up in that, right? And so focused on it, and so focused on kind of making it be the core concept of who they are. The more it kind of comes across as being a historical reenactor. I love America, right? I love its story. I love, the people. Really, I do. This is my country, but at the same time, that past is dead. There's no bringing it back, right? As much as you can throw your head against the wall and scream in frustration, that's not coming back. And that's all across the world right now, especially in the West. It's all changed so much. And in some ways that's good, and in many ways that's bad, I would argue. But I will say that with travel, with living abroad, and kind of leaving the bubble of our own home country, that we tend to find that we have much more in common with people from other countries, with people from different nationalities, from different cultures. Because humanity kind of goes beyond nationality. Humanity goes beyond culture. Although these things are very important, there are certain things that we all just kind of have in common. And that goes beyond just sharing kind of the label of our childhood backdrop. In my life, I've made friends with people from all over the world, even from countries that I believed and I was taught were hostile to me. My wife is from Turkey. And although they're kind of an ally, there's always been a hostility between our countries. Culturally, we're so different. But, spending as much time in Turkey as I have, I've realized that, these are good people. I met a lot of people from China. It's the same way, good people. Even even going back, I mean, I've met Russians, they're good people. We can even go back further. I've met old Germans and they're good people. I don't know their history, but hey, in the moment, right? Talking to these people fundamentally at a foundational level of humanity. I have so much in common with these people that, like I said, it goes beyond the brand of where we're from. And as different as we may be, we're all kind of striving for the same things in life. And I think that there is, like I said, a real honesty that goes beyond nationality. And you really only start to notice this once you've escaped that bubble, once you've left, once you've kind of broken out of the box of your nation, once you've kind of left its culture and had to come face to face with the fact that there is differences between people in the world, just like there's similarities. And the longer you spend away from your country, the less important the idea of motherland and fatherland is. You have moments of nostalgia. You have moments where you want to go back, but at the same time, the world is so much bigger. And it'll always be a big part of who you are, but it's just a brand. That's all it is. It's just a label. And I will always love, and I will always defend my country to a degree, because I know it so well. I know how good its people can be. I know the qualities that made my country great. Just like anyone from anyone else will defend and love their country because they know the best parts of it. And they're aware of the worst parts of it. But it doesn't define them. They're individuals. And I will always love and appreciate America. I will always love and appreciate this country for everything that it's given me, for the person that it made me. I signed up and served in the Marine Corps. And that fundamentally changed the person that I was. I lived a very rough life. I wasn't the best person. And not only did it give me discipline, but it gave me perspective. And I've really tried to carry the learning process that I've gotten through that along in my life as I've gotten older. And you say that many people are waking up. I just think that many of us are kind of just outgrowing our nations, are outgrowing our countries, especially because they are demanding so much more of us and giving us so very little. And so I think that's why I say this era that we're in right now is it's the death of patriotism, or the individual journey, leaving your bubble. I think it inevitably causes the death of the kind of patriotism that you had before. And I don't think that this is a bad thing, because I think it gives you a certain appreciation of your country. I think it gives you a kind of more of a love for kind of what the true core of your nationality is. And it makes you a little bit more wiser, because, understanding what your country is and understanding that people inherently you have so much in common with, you really can compare your cultures a lot more. You can compare your nations a lot more, their histories a lot more. The more that you learn about them, the more that you experience how those histories have affected the people from those countries and their perspective on the world and how they look at you. So that's why I say, be brave and be confident to leave. Be brave and be confident to get out of your comfort zone. Go travel and meet new people. Fall in love with different cultures. Fall in love with different countries. Fall in love with different people. Fall in love with life and find your place in it. I'm happy that that's what I did. And a lot of you are thinking about doing the same thing. In my comment sections, there's nothing but people planning and dreaming of leaving this country, either whether that be temporarily or whether it be permanently. And you just have to have the courage to do it, right? And yes, you have to have the money to do it. And you can get that with time, You may not have it right now, and you may be in a dark place, right? It may seem like you're never going to get there, but I promise you, with enough patience, you'll have an opportunity. The vast majority of us will have an opportunity. If that's what you're focused on and that's what you let people know this is what you're doing, the only person that can stop you is going to be yourself. And when you get out there and when you kind of escape the shackles of where you're at, you'll realize that you're not actually alone. Whether that's people who think the same way that you do, who are from the same place, who are living in a different place, and they're going to be. And when you find these people, they become such good friends with you because you have so much in common. And it doesn't matter what their age is. It doesn't matter what their race is. These people are usually amazing people. I love expat communities, right? As long as they're not ones that are just drinking and stuff like that. I remember my first time in Thailand, I went to kind of a veteran bar. And there was a lot of former Marines who've been living there for a long time. And some were my age, some were older. And I was telling them that this is a place where I was thinking about relocating. And as soon as I, well, if you want to be here, we have employment for you. There's plenty of things that we can do. I mean, it's expat communities tend to look out after each other, right? I mean, maybe not so much the digital nomad ones. I mean, they do, but because that's just such a kind of a transient lifestyle, right, from one place to another. But actual expat communities where people live, if you're afraid you're going to be alone, if you're afraid you're not going to find people who speak your language or know your culture, honestly, that's a fear that's really not worth having. So be brave and get out there, and see what it's like, and challenge yourself, challenge that sense of patriotism. But yeah, thanks for stopping by. Time for me to go to the gym. Have a good one.